Welcome back to a very special conversation. This is part three of our Healing Your Money Story series. If you have been following along, you already know the power of this panel. Each guest, a part of the Healing Squad, continues to unpack the layers of generational patterns, cultural expectations, and personal truths that shape how we relate to money. In today's session, we're going even deeper. We're talking about pride, ownership, boundaries, and the emotional cost of financial survival, especially in communities of color. How does trauma show up in our saving and spendings? Why is it so hard to say no, even when we can't afford to say yes? And how can we shift from surviving to building something that lasts forever? Let's get into it. This is part three of our Healing Your Money story.
Yeah, if I dig a little deeper in this, so excavate this a little bit, I think a little bit about equity. I thought you was going here when you was talking about the slavery component of it. I actually think pride is the trauma that shows up from, pride is the behavior that shows up from the trauma of ownership. One of the things that we've never had in this country is ownership. So we have always been in a situation where something can be taken from us, which is why we've always had to be resilient, right? We've always had to start over at some point, right? So, like, there are these components of why when people talk about financial wealth and financial health, now they always try to get to this point of telling you what you need to own, right? How you get this to a point, telling me about that, and I don't know how to just get afloat. Like, this is where we've got the level of conversation at the right way, right? And in this conversation, I want to make sure we go a little bit deeper to understand that healing component of this is that if you have a village and you don't use it, that's pride. The village is there to receive you however you are. So whenever we decide we will not go and seek out that help that we know is available to us, it's not the trauma, it's the behavior. Pride becomes that behavior that gets in the way because the trauma thing has already happened, right? We already are in a situation where it's a deficit. We know this. Now, don't put any conditions on helping me get to where I can stand on my own 2 feet. This is where we continue to lose all those ownerships, right? Because all of us had to go pay somebody else to get to a point to confirm to somebody else that we can articulate the things that we're articulating now.
So there's different things they're called it's basically your relationship with money. So somebody might be the one who's an overspender, but somebody else might not be. So some people are spenders, some people are savers, and they hold on to their money and they hold on to it really tight and they won't take any risk because they're scared of losing it because they have more of a scarcity mindset. So it doesn't always show up as someone who overspends. It shows up differently in different people. You have money status. Some people associate their worth with money. They associate their worth with having big cars and name brands and different things like that. And they think that their bank account equates to them as a person. So you see people who spend money on things because they think that makes them a bigger person. Then you have some people who have money vigilance. That's the person that holds their money really tight. They won't spend. This person is likely less going to be the investor. And in this current economy, we really can't afford that because this is not an economy that we can afford to not invest. So that person will save their money. I've had clients who they save so much, that's the reason why they have problems with their finances because they're putting $1,400 more in investments and saving and not having enough to pay their actual bills. Like, so it goes from different spectrums and it's trauma showing up in different ways because as we all are different people, things are going to show up differently for us. And we all have different experiences as well as just ways that we grew up. So I've seen it happen and show up. I've seen it show up in avoiding our money as a whole, avoiding the calls, avoiding the mail, avoiding the emails, and thinking like, oh, I'll get to that later and putting it off and putting it off. I've seen it show up that way because as I believe Daisy said, it's such a vulnerable step to actually like sit and look and see where you at and own your money mistakes and own that this is just a part of your journey. We sometimes start first to beat ourselves up. And when we get to that part, we're like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna do this another day. We're not gonna do this right now because yeah, I don't want to deal with that. And So it just shows up different ways is what I've seen it happen in different people or different, people that I've worked with or talked to. And it's just it can look different on a different person. So I've seen people on both spectrums, like spending, yes. I've seen people who are money avoidant. Like I said, they avoid everything. They don't talk about money. They won't have that conversation but the reality of it all is wealth is silent. So people have grown to attach to physical wealth and because that's what looks tangible. That's what looks like I can get it. I can't get inside your bank account to see that you have wealth. So I can't achieve or strive for something that I can't see. All I can see is the people who have the big cars and who have the clothes. So I'm going to associate that with wealth, even though that's not real wealth. So you're striving to do something because that looks like that person has money. But from my eyesight, that person got a lot of bills. That person got a lot of they got a lot of obligations and people looking for their money, and whenever they get paid, they got a lot of people with their hand out waiting on their part that wasn't in the gym shooting free throws with them. But when they get paid, they right there waiting for them. So for me, that's what I see, like just over. So see it all over the spectrum. To be honest, it's just going to depend on the person, and personal finance is personal. I said it all the time. It's going to look different for different people, and it's no like overall setting that you can say, okay, do this. This is going to work for everybody.
Here is the next question. I'm gonna put it into the chat. And like I said, just be mindful in landing your planes. We got 10 minutes to go. How can we set healthy financial boundaries with family, friends, or even ourselves while honoring our cultural values of generosity and care? And man, I can use this advice. So I would love to hear what people have to say. Whoever wants to go first, go for it.
I was going to jump in and say, we have always been a philanthropic people working in the philanthropic field, right? So I think what we see is that um, we want to give even when we don't have it, right? And I think for people of color, we have done it in a variety of ways. And I think that the way we have also been very frugal or very generous in our giving or in our financial blessings is by coming together as a people. Girl, can you bring the chicken to the party? I can't bring the chicken, but I can do the potato salad. Can you do this? Or you know what? Sister Mildred over here, her father passed away. We want to make sure that she has a meal for at least the last of the week. Can you make this? Can you do this? Can you bring that? So I think that, just being able to come together as a whole, and I don't even know if I'm answering the question, but I'm coming from this perspective that we have always been very generous in our blessings, whether it's financial or personal or even as communal, right? We have always been very generous. But how does that show up? What's the question, Lindsay? How can we set healthy financial boundaries? I think letting people know, and girl, yeah, I want to make that potato salad for Sister Mildred's funeral, but I can't. Right. And I think that we have a hard time doing that because we want to show up for people. We want to, and I think Leah said it best, we want to show up when we actually really don't have it in a way. So we can show up in other ways by doing service, right? And I feel like for me, I can show up, but sometimes I know for me, I also put myself at a financial strain trying to show up for everybody in a way, right? So I think that if we look at it from that way, we have always been a philanthropic people, and I think people don't always look at those services that you give can be kind of taxing on you too, but also in a way that it can relieve you from the financial piece of things.
And in the famous words of DMX, I don't got it, so you can't get it. There's them healthy financial balances, and I'm serious. I had to learn to get to that point. You got to learn. That's learned behavior.
It is.
Right? You don't owe nobody nothing. You can give and you can be generous, but you definitely got to set a boundary where there is. I always tell my family and friends that when I hit the lottery, when I hit the lottery, I am going to call a whole meeting. I'm going to draft up these papers. Here's your amount. You're gonna sign this thing, and when you deplete the funds, the bank is that's closed. That's it.
And you can't get it. I don't have it, and you can't get it.
So I'm gonna share the wealth with you, And I'll pick the amount that I feel like I want to give you, right? And I'm gonna base it around your history or your actions on what I know that you do with money first. Let's start there. And then I can make some suggestions on what you should do with it, ownership, all of those things. However, once you spend the money, that's it. Don't come back. I'm done. Because guess what? If I played the lottery, that dollar that I use, I worked for that dollar. Okay? I worked for that dollar. Or maybe something else, but I don't know. But I'm just saying, I don't judge people. But whatever you did to get that dollar, it's your money. So if you sharing the wealth, you got to cut it off. You got to be like, no, you got to stand firm on it. And it's okay. It's okay. You don't owe nobody nothing. When we talk about some NBA players and stuff, they nobody dribbling no course. You ain't injured. You ain't in this contract. You ain't doing none of this stuff. You wasn't even outside when they was playing ball on the street before they made it to the NBA. So now you entitled to something? Yeah, no. So no.
You got to put your own oxygen mask on first. And I think that's just the power of no without explanation. I think we should all get more comfortable because that is your true ownership. Your true ownership is what you decide to say yes to and what you decide to say no to. You will set the best healthy boundaries possible when you get that clarity of yes and no for yourself. And so that leads me to my second one is that once you understand that your healthy financial state is essentially about you making sure your cup is full for yourself, right? That's putting your own oxygen mask on. And so once you do that, from your natural overflow, you set the boundaries however you need to set the boundaries, right? But the thing is to your point, Lena, is I can't give you what I don't have. But we instead of stressing about that, we just need to be comfortable saying no without explaining things because no is a full sentence. And when we get used to that, we start to get more healthy around us because we can say no with peace, knowing that, well, my answer was no and I walked off. Now I'm no longer carrying any of that, whatever will happen, because again, I was resolved within myself of what my yes was and what my no was. So I did that in record time, coach.
And I'll make mine quick. I'll make it real quick. For me, it's gonna be more so yes, saying no to people. I've always been a yes person. I'm learning to say no, and I'm tired of starting over. Every single relationship I have started over because I'm a giver. I give because I just want to see people happy. But that is also because it was transactional relationships. It wasn't love, it was transactional. Everything I did, most of the things I did was transactional to say, here, I want to give this to you because that's to show my appreciation. But now I have to go into the mindset of I need to continue to work on my money flow, and you can do you. And if I got it, I can possibly give it to you. And if I ain't got it, I really need to say it because Nia hit me with an ouch talking about, yeah, you can have all these things and look broke and the financial people coming for you. Yeah, and I'm tired of them coming for me. So that's why I'm in this era where I'm tired.
I'm going to say the first way to get healthy financial boundaries is to take a step and explore why you don't have them now. Is it because you want to be a people pleaser? Is it because you give out money because you want to be that person that say that I did that, and when they do something with it, you be like, well, I gave them money. I'm the one who gave it to them in the first place. Like, you got to explore what it is, the reason why you don't have boundaries now. To kind of everybody's point, no. And there's nothing else that need to be said after that. It don't even need that many words. No, it's a complete sentence. You can use an explanation point. You can use a period. You can dress it up. You can put it in a different color, capitals. You can play around, right? You can play around with it if you want to, but no. So I think that that's a part of it, and then exploring, like I think we talked about it. Everybody kind of echoing what everybody been saying. Exploring culturally, it's also in some cultures it's seen that you have to give, and you have to give your family, and you have to do for your family, and you have to do for everybody. It's almost like an expectation because they like, oh, that's the one that made it. So because that's the one that made it, they have the responsibility to do for others, and you have to explore like, well, how did I make it? I can't make it if I'm constantly giving it to y'all. So I'm not gonna be the one that made it no more. So that's my 25 cents.
I love what y'all are saying. Like when I saw this question, the first thing I thought about when boundaries came up was heart. Like, oftentimes we don't have good boundaries with our emotions and the heart and what we have for our people that are closest to us. So, like, to set that boundary is going to be easier to set that financial boundary. And also, like, what's their credit history with you? Like, a lot of times there's people we gave money to that banks won't give money to. So the bank won't give you money. Why should we be giving you money? Why? Because your credit history is trash. You don't pay me back. There's people in our family, friends that we know if we give you some money, we're never seeing it again. So we're writing it off. But then we get mad when we don't get it back. And so it's just like, nah, I look at your credit history. um, in a way, and I heard like Kobe, he wasn't with me shooting in the gym, DMX. No, like we have to get to a point. I would encourage us to get to a point where I think everybody said this knows a full sentence and it's an empowering answer. And it's an affirmation. No's an affirmation to me because every time I say yes to you, I'm saying no to me. And I'm not saying no to me anymore. I'm saying yes to Mike Sykes and no to you. Doesn't mean no harm or anything else like that. But I'm done, like Bruce said, starting over and creating traumatic experiences for Mike Sykes to make you feel better. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm like, once again, that's the resilience. I'm not, no more starting over for me.
All right, Miss Daisy, take us home. Come on now.
I'm just gonna say that I got really good at saying no, and I'm not ashamed of it. Because I feel like I got me, myself, and I. And so when I get older, like I need to be able to make sure that I have what I need. And so I can offer support in other ways, right? So like DC was saying, like, how can I help you in other ways? Can I bring something? Can I give you some emotional support? Do you need to talk, right? Are there other ways that I can give support to someone that's not financial, right? So yeah, I don't feel that pressure because I've lived a long life of really growing in myself to say no. So right now, no is definitely a sentence that I can use.